And here he is, the great man himself, Donald Trump. Welcome to the Savage Nation. Donald, thanks so much for being with us. And by the way, congratulations on the birth of your newest grandchild.
Absolutely. That's great. Really happy about it.
Donald, I know what it feels like to be a grandparent. I know how protective it makes the grandfather. And I suppose that's why your popularity has swelled. Personally, I think because America sees you as the greatest chance to protect us, in plain English. You know, for the big issue, Donald, I know you've disavowed any connection to these allegations against Ted Cruz and his alleged affairs. But let's be clear. You've had more mud thrown at you than all of the other candidates put together. You've been smeared like I've never seen anyone smeared before. So, assuming that you had nothing to do with this, and I believe you have had nothing to do with this garbage, is it at all possible that someone within your camp may have done this in order to help you without even telling you?
No, it's not possible. In fact, 2 articles were written today or yesterday by not lovers of Trump, the Daily Beast, whatever that may be, and another one by a respected journalist that said that Marco Rubio has been peddling this story for a long time, and it was Marco Rubio. I mean, they said it very strongly. Marco Rubio has been peddling this story. I never heard about this story, and frankly, I had absolutely nothing to do with the National Enquirer putting the story in. But 2 articles were written about Marco Rubio having to do it, and he's been peddling it. Now, who knows if he did it? I have no idea if he did it, but I can only tell you one thing. It wasn't me, and Cruz ought to focus on other things, frankly, because I think it's disgusting when he blames me. And you're right. Somebody in your world called me and said they have never seen anybody slandered like I've been slandered over the last week about the whole woman thing. Nobody respects women more than I do, Michael. You know that. But
I know that. I know you have a great reputation. I know that. But, you know, I think that the grand master behind this, Donald, could be the Hillary Clinton camp itself. They could have leaked it to little Marco, and little Marco's people could have leaked it to turn you against each other. And I think that for the sake of your campaign and for the sake of America, and no matter how tempting it may be for you to fight back because you are a fighter, Donald, I wouldn't get involved with it anymore. I think we need to talk about the dangers of a Hillary presidency. What do you think, Mr. Trump?
About NATO, you saw what I came up with NATO the other day. They asked me a question about NATO. Nobody's thought about this for 30 years. I said NATO is obsolete, and we're spending too much money, and other countries are spending almost nothing, and we're protecting everybody, and we're the big stupid bully that doesn't know what to do, and we're spending, we're spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and even billions of dollars on NATO, and other countries aren't pulling their weight, and they're supposed to be pulling their weight, and we're protecting them. So, that came out, and it came out very good. Actually, I must tell you, surprisingly, the New York Times did a great story on it. And today I had a great story in the New York Times. I mean, I awoken people as to NATO, and it is obsolete. Today we need something having to do with terrorism. And, when NATO was done originally, it was the Soviet Union, which was different than Russia. It was the Soviet Union. And, it becomes obsolete after all of these decades. So we're spending too much money, and it should be rejiggered or redone.
I agree with you, but let's talk about Hillary Clinton. Here is a woman who says that we're defeating ISIS. What do you say to that?
Well, we are so undefeating ISIS. ISIS is running rampant. They have Libya oil. We do nothing about it. I don't know if you know what's going on in Libya. Libya is ISIS territory now. That was another Hillary great thing with Benghazi. And
absolutely. Gaddafi begged her not to kill him. He said we will descend into a Somalia run by warlords. Hillary owns Libya and the Middle East mess, Donald.
Totally. ISIS has the Libyan oil. And why aren't we putting up a blockade? Why aren't we knocking the hell out of that oil? Why aren't we doing things? I mean, Libya had vast oil supplies. You remember Gaddafi with the oil and the money. And now ISIS has it. And why aren't we putting up a blockade? Why aren't we taking that oil? Why do we have other people having that oil? Why aren't we taking that oil? It's disgraceful. The way our country runs is a disgrace, Michael.
Well, okay, but we're talking about terrorism. Hillary and you couldn't differ even more completely than you do now. She says we're defeating ISIS when we know that's a lie. If you become president, which I hope you do you have an actual plan from the first day in office to take them on, Donald, that you can even sketch out for us?
I do have a plan. I actually have a number of different plans because you need alternatives, Michael, and you want to be unpredictable. You know, this country is so predictable. If the president has a plan, he goes up and announces what his plan is. He says, this is what we're going to do. Remember he sent the 50 troops in about 6 months ago? And he announced that he's sending 50 troops in, 50 of our finest, by the way. And he gets up and announces that he's sending 50 troops. They have a target on their back. Or when he announced that he's taking everybody out of Iraq, and he gave a date. And I mean, the whole thing is just crazy. We shouldn't have been in Iraq, and then we shouldn't have gotten out the way we got out. And it was disgraceful the way it's been handled. We have such bad leadership. We don't even have leadership as far as I'm concerned. So, Michael, when you ask me about a plan, I have plans, and I have plans. I have A, B, C, depending on what happens. But I hate to just go onto your very popular show and say what the plan is, and other people hear that, and it gets back, and all of a sudden it's no longer a really plan. We need the element of surprise. Do you think General George Patton or General MacArthur, do you think they would have gotten on your show and said what they want to do?
No, I agree 100%. No, why would they spell out a battle plan in advance unless they were fools?
Some very strong ideas. But I hate to sit on your show and say, here's what we'll do, Michael. We'll do this, and we'll do that, and we'll do that. Now, let's assume, I am the front runner by a lot in the Republican side. And I say, here's what we'll do. And then I get in and I'll say, I gave Michael Savage my entire plan. I hope they weren't listening to that show. Well, they were. You understand.
Okay, no, that's rational. And, of course, I know something about leadership, Donald. It's who you hire to enact your big vision. You don't need to spell out every detail of every program in the world to show how smart you are. You need to hire the best people who can enact your plans, whether it be the economy, healthcare, terrorism, social programs. You need smart people, as you've said. So I trust that. But, Donald, on the issue of national security, you have a former CIA director who sounds like a motley's fool saying that you're all wrong on surveilling mosques and that it'll only alienate Muslims. The NYPD was doing this and keeping New Yorkers safe. Why would the NYPD police commissioner Bratton come out so strongly against that idea today? Do you have any idea? You may even know Mr. Bill Bratton. Can you
imagine they chop off people's heads and they have no rules, but we have laws and rules. And the same gentleman that you're talking about said Trump is wrong on torture. He's wrong on waterboarding. We shouldn't waterboard. We shouldn't torture. And they're chopping off Christians' heads and anybody else's heads. And it's a disgrace. And this is the same man that we're talking about, the same man. And, you're right. In New York City, we had a great surveillance program, which is now totally scrapped. It's totally gone because of a mayor that we have who's a gross incompetent. And it's really sad when you look at what's going on. When you look at what went on in New York, when you look at we had a great surveillance program. They say the best in the world. And it's totally gone. And you just look at what's going on in Belgium. In Brussels, I said a number of months ago, I said that Brussels is a hellhole. You better watch out. It's bad. It's, a lot of problems. The New York Times did a big story really criticizing me for saying such bad things about Brussels. Now everybody's saying Trump got it right, Michael. You see that. It's all over the place. That Trump was the only one that knew what was going on.
I agree. But look, Donald, this Geneva Convention business that the liberals like to cite, that we're violating the Geneva Convention by even waterboarding, it's such a ludicrous statement, Donald. They don't follow the Geneva Convention rules. The Geneva Convention only applies to those who sign on to it. The last I checked, ISIS didn't sign on to the Geneva Convention, Donald.
Hey, Michael, they're allowed to chop off heads. They're allowed to drown 50 people in a heavy steel cage, drop them right into the ocean or to the water, and drown them, and pull it up with 50 bodies in it. And we're going by the Geneva Convention. So let's go by the Geneva Convention, but we have to make the rules a lot tougher because we're fighting on a different playing field. So we can't waterboard, which is considered a minimal form. Okay, some people don't consider it torture, actually, but it's considered certainly minimal. They're allowed to chop off heads and drown people. A little bit different. When you say, do you think they sit back home when they're all eating, because they eat like everybody else, and when they just chopped off 50 heads of people, do you think that they sit around and saying, can you believe these people? They're refusing to waterboard. I mean, they read this stuff. They're refusing to waterboard. They have absolutely no fear of our country. Our country is weak and ineffective, and it's a shame, Michael. It's a shame.
Donald, they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us, and one of the things I'd like to get across in this, let's say, your appearance on this show, and I thank you again for coming on the show. You know that Ted Cruz, my producers, contacted his people today. They won't even answer my people, and I said on this show, if he doesn't have the guts to face Michael Savage, how is he going to face ISIS? You know, I don't know what's behind this scandal, nor do I really care. I hope you guys just stop this kind of stuff, because we got to focus on the bigger picture, Donald. That's the real purpose of you coming on today. I think you don't want to talk about this garbage anymore.
I think it's garbage. He started it, but I think it's now total garbage. Absolutely, it's ridiculous.
But Donald, you beat him, and you beat this guy wherever you turn. So let's, in the few minutes that remain, Wisconsin. He's been boasting that if he was head-to-head with you, he would defeat you. Is it true that all of the other delegates are going to suddenly run to his side? That's not true, is it?
No, not at all. No, we have. I have many more delegates than him. I have millions of more votes than him. And frankly, in every debate, I beat him. You know, according to all of the Drudge poll and the Time Magazine poll and all of the polls, they do these online polls. Every one of the debates I won. You saw that. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't.
But in the latest polls, but look, next Tuesday's a big day. You and Cruz are the big issue, right? What are the latest polls showing over there?
About even. It's about even. Now, I'm leaving tomorrow for Wisconsin, but it's pretty much even. But, you know,
well, Donald, I'm on 4 stations in Wisconsin, and I hope you're the best over there, because we need a clear front runner to take on Hillary Clinton. That's what we really need.